Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Radio Networks on Sunday, October 2nd, 2011. Yes, Dexter premieres tonight. I'm sorry. This is episode 810. Enjoy. Well, a good day to you, Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. And it's time to talk about computers and the internet and cell phones and camcorders and all the gadgets and doodads and doohickeys. No, I don't have any hickeys, I don't think. Doohickeys that make our life so fun and yet so complicated. You want to join the fun? Call me, 8888-ASK-LEO. That's my number. All the speculation about Apple's event, you know, going on right now. One day, 22 hours and 53 minutes until Apple announces something. Tuesday. It's an interesting idea for an event because normally this kind of an event, a big iPhone announcement, we're 18 months out from the last iPhone announcement. They missed their traditional announcement in June. Normally this would be held at the big Moscone Center in San Francisco where you could have couple of thousand journalists. This is instead at the much more intimate Cupertino campus of Apple on one infinite loop, and just a few hundred journalists are invited, which is why I wasn't invited, you know, because it's just not enough room. But that's all right. I'll sit out on the curb and watch what's going on. We have I think, a pretty good handle on what's going on. Well, you never know. Apple always surprises. But here's the latest thinking. First of all, Gizmodo Brazil, which is a gadget blog in Brazil, claims they've got images from the Brazilian Apple factory showing an iPhone model for the Brazil, perhaps China and other markets, maybe in the U.S. The N90A looks like that'll be called, well, we don't know. Did iPhone 4 cheap? the iPhone 4, I don't know, because we seem to think now that not me, the rumor mill seems to think that the iPhone 5, which is model N94, will be not the iPhone 5, but the iPhone 4S. So we have a name shortage now. Apparently, according to the latest rumors, no iPhone 5. But the reason they think iPhone 4S is because the latest iTunes beta. God, don't you just love how Apple manages to get so much press for so little information? The iPhone iTunes beta has a description of something it calls the iPhone 4S. 9 to 5 Mac, another rumor site, has this story. Screenshot you see on the website says iPhone 4S description. That's about it. CDMA, which means it's the Verizon phone. But I presume that there'll also be an iPhone 4S for AT&T. In fact, rumors pretty strong that it'll be a Sprint iPhone as well. No T-Mobile, though. T-Mobile themselves say, no, we aren't going to get it. Will we get a Facebook app for iPad in this announcement? I can't imagine why they would do that. Facebook and Apple apparently in a fight. We found out this week that Facebook actually had an iPad. You know, there's no iPad app for Facebook. There's an iPad app for everything else in the world. And Mark Zuckerberg last year strangely said, well, the iPad's not a mobile device. That's why there's no Facebook mobile app for it. Huh? Maybe he doesn't carry his around. Maybe he's one of those people who has it glued to the refrigerator. You know, people mount their iPads in all sorts of places. I saw a friend of mine had one mounted in a car as his, you know, like a stereo system. I've seen him mounted in cabinetry, in kitchens. Maybe that's what Mark does. So that's why he thinks it's not a mobile device. In any event, in May, Facebook wrote an iPad app for the Facebook app. And the guy who wrote it was so mad that Facebook wouldn't release it, he quit Facebook and went to Google. I don't think we'll hear a Facebook app. I do think we'll hear a lot more about iCloud, though, on Tuesday. This one from CNET, all the regular sources. CNET says, sources familiar with the discussions between Apple, record companies, and music publishers say Apple is seeking international music licenses for its iCloud service. They've already got those licenses for the U.S. So if they're actively seeking, it means they're trying to make that deadline. How many days? How many hours? 1 day, 22 hours, and now 49 minutes. I hope you're keeping track. Apple actually made a mistake and sent out some welcome to iCloud invitations to people. A little early. Apple Insider got this one. Welcome to iCloud. No, not yet. However, I think Tuesday we'll see that. And, you know, if you've been interested, if you're a Mac user and you're interested in how you can sync your data, sync your music, sync your apps, this looks like a very interesting product. Of course, Microsoft's got its SkyDrive, and there's lots of third-party apps like a Dropbox. Very popular category. We had a big announcement this week, the Amazon Kindle announcement. There's 3 new Amazon Kindles. There's a little one for $79, the least expensive Kindle ever. I bought it immediately, got it immediately. It shipped in 1 day. And it's cute. I like it. It's the same size screen, but they just eliminated that useless vestigial keyboard on the bottom. So now, you know, I can hold all my books in the palm of my hand. It's great. Great little reader. They also made a touch version of that, so you can flip back and forth. But, of course, the big story is the Kindle Fire. TechCrunch, the tech blog, said Amazon punches Apple hard with Kindle's price. It's true, $199 is less than half the cheapest iPad. But it isn't an iPad. It's 7 inches instead of 10. It is very limited in its capabilities. It's running a very customized version of Google's Android operating system, and it's really a consumption device. But I have to say, it's an impressive media tablet from what I've seen. Audio, video, movies, TV, books, magazines. And they've gone to every magazine publisher and got almost every magazine on here. And not just the print version of the magazine, but audio and video as well, kind of a multimedia special version. Probably most magazine publishers consider this the future of magazine publishing. $199. That's amazing. Just Wi-Fi. I don't think it hurts the iPad as much as perhaps TechCrunch or others do. It's who it's going to hurt is Barnes & Noble with their Nook. They'll announce a new Nook reader next week. But isn't Kindle rapidly becoming the brand name for e-readers? Now they have 5 different Kindles for every use. And this color Kindle, I think, will hit some of the iPad market. For those of you who buy an iPad just for consumption, just for looking at media, maybe a little email, maybe a little bit of browsing. It will have a special browser in there. Amazon's announced a new browser called Silk, which they claim will be much faster than any other browser out there by caching, storing ahead of time a lot of the pages that you'd go to see, preloading pages it expects you to go see, shrinking down files, kind of like Opera's mini browser does, to make it very fast. So that'll be interesting. I mean, if you could buy a 7-inch device, admittedly smaller than the iPad, but a 7-inch device, fit in your pocket or your purse, and then you could browse really quickly on it, and it gave you access to all these books, magazines, TV shows, movies, and you could get your email on it. I think there's a percentage of iPad users, not all of them, but there's a percentage of iPad users that'd be very interested in this. And, of course, they will have a marketplace, an app marketplace. It's the Amazon app marketplace. So if you want to see what kind of stuff's going to be out there for the Fire, just look at Amazon. No 3G, but almost everybody agrees that Kindle Fire 2 will be out soon. And that, if you're the kind of person that likes to have the latest and greatest, might be a reason to wait to buy that Fire, because I have a feeling by early next year, Amazon will have a 3G version of the Fire available as well. And that'll be interesting, because you know the way Amazon does its 3G is there's no monthly fee. You pay once, a little extra for that tablet, and then you have unlimited lifetime free 3G connectivity. That's kind of intriguing. That maybe even more than the $199 price might tell you something. No Bluetooth in this either, but I don't think Amazon sees this really as that kind of a device. I think they see it as a little tablet that you watch stuff on and you read stuff on. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the news of the week. Let's talk about what's up with you. Give me a ring. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Tried to spend your way out of this, said the ex-president. I had no money left.
Okay, I give up.
Wait for it.
Unlimited monthly. As if the Sex Pistols met AT&T, right? Okay, if you like the music, blame Kyle, or don't, blame Kyle Benham, our musical director, and of course he will post a playlist from Spotify every week on the show notes and on Google Plus so that you can hear these songs again. I don't know why you'd want to hear that one again. Our website, techguylabs.com. That's where the show notes are. This is episode 810. James DeRuvo also writing down what I say so that you can have a copy of that. And let's get right to the phones with Ronald, our first caller of the day in Los Angeles, California, listening on the great KFI. Hi, Ronald.
Hey, Leo. How you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Excellent. I need your help as usual. I'm one of those all-time listeners, and I call occasionally. Anyway, I'm having a problem when I connect my Evo device to my computer. It's not being recognized since I've downloaded or since I've installed the King's ROM. I'm not seeing a dialogue or menu screen to tell me what I can do in order to transfer information any longer on my computer screen.
Yeah, well, that would be annoying. Of course, this is one of the features of Android that I really like. Missing from the iPhone is that when you connect your Android phone to your computer via the USB cable, it shows up as you actually have to tell the phone, go into storage mode, and then it shows up as a USB device. And if you have a flash card in the phone, you can directly copy music, photos, whatever media you want to have on there, make it available to the phone. I mean, you've rooted it and you've put a stock ROM on, non-stock ROM on it, right?
That is correct,
yeah,
sir. You're
so what was the name of the ROM?
It's King's ROM. It's the one that belongs actually to the Evo 3D.
Yeah, I would think that that's probably the source of it. So this is actually, I think, a real benefit, and I'm not, different manufacturers and cell carriers have different policies about this. On an iPhone, you do something called jailbreaking, which is on the iPhone merely giving you the opportunity to load apps from somewhere besides Apple. That's what jailbreaking means. On the Android phone, you could do something called rooting. Rooting is the same thing as getting administrator privileges on any other computer operating system. You don't have it normally on your Android phone, but it's easy enough to get in most cases. And once you have administrator privileges, of course, you have the privilege of screwing your phone up and making it non-functional, which, that's the fun of it, isn't it? You can also do things like change the firmware, and that's what Ronald did. He's downloaded third-party firmware, the King's ROM, and install it on his phone. But now, of course, when you put other people's ROMs on your phone, things break. For instance, on my LG phone, my G2X from T-Mobile, LG and T-Mobile never did update that phone. It was an early version of I think maybe it was Froyo. It took forever to update it. So finally, I gave up and I said, well, I'll update it myself. So I rooted it, which is a process usually involving hooking up the USB cable in debugging mode and running some software on a computer that gives you root access, root privileges on the phone. And then once you've done that, you can install, and this is the easiest way to do it, you can install a ROM Manager program that's available on the Android market, of all things. And ROM Manager will give you a choice of a lot of different ROMs. By ROMs, I mean new firmware for the phone. You're literally changing everything, the personality of the phone. The problem is that a lot of these ROMs, they're written by, not written by the companies, they're written by people like you and me, some of them better than others, and some of them often have missing functionality. Ronald, I guess that's what's missing. I was using a cyanogen mod, which is, in my opinion, the best mod. But even the cyanogen mod on the G2X couldn't do one thing. It couldn't do that Bluetooth streaming, A2DP Bluetooth streaming. because the source code for that came from NVIDIA and never had been released. So they can only do, what they can do. And so if you do something like this, Ronald, that's what comes with the territory. So what I would do is go to xda-developers.com, which is a great forum for people who are interested in hacking their Android phones. This is not illegal in any way, but your mileage may vary. And it's, buyer beware or hacker beware. So it's up to you to understand that there are risks involved. And when you do this kind of thing, you may make a non-functioning phone out of your phone. But if you go to XDA Developers and read in the forums about your particular phone, or they have a phone database you can search for, there's plenty of people with that phone who will probably have some advice for you. And what you may find is it may say on that forum, oh, and by the way, it breaks USB drive. I suspect that's the case. Mark, Santa Ana, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, I have a quick question. Actually, and also, well, something about your website. But when I use the iTunes on the Mac, Snow Leopard, latest update, I wasn't getting the triangulation stuff, and sometimes I don't get other stuff unless I specifically go to that specific podcast and then do an update from the podcast. If I'm just in podcasts in general and do a refresh, it doesn't bring them in. You know
what I would do is right-click podcasts in general. You can update all the podcasts. We're kind of stuck with Apple and iTunes when you're a podcaster. This is how most people listen to podcasts. I once said about 5 years ago, and I know Adam Christensen, who is a podcaster and in the studio today from the MacCast, remembers this, that iTunes was both the best and the worst thing that ever happened to podcasting. The best because it really brought podcasting forward. The worst because there's no choice. It's an absolute monopoly. And the way Apple does it is the way it's done, period. So you're kind of stuck with whatever Apple has decided to do in terms of updating and so forth. What podcasting is, in theory, is you create audio and you put it on the internet. Period, shows, whatever. And you can also create an RSS feed. You may know that term because if you read news, for instance, or you follow websites, you can subscribe to their RSS feed, and it will periodically get the latest stories on the feed. Well, it turns out it works with audio and video files as well. So you make an RSS feed for your podcast. And then what iTunes does is whenever it feels like it, or whenever you ask for it, it will go out and get the RSS feed and then see what's new. Now, in theory, it should do that on a schedule, Mark. And I would check to make sure your iTunes preferences are set appropriately, that it's going out and checking to make sure it gets the latest thing every day or so. But you can change how often it does that. I also suspect that what's happening is that it may not be doing it anyway. I think it seems to have a mind of its own. We update the RSS. Whenever we put out a podcast, there's two things we do. We upload the podcast. Actually, there's three things, because we change on the website. We say the podcast is available. And then we change our RSS feed. And a podcast client is supposed to get the RSS feed every few hours, see if there's anything new, and if there is, download it automatically. That's what you want it to do. So look at your subscribe settings for that podcast. Maybe when you updated, it changed. And maybe it's supposed to be every day, but maybe you'd like to make it every hour. Turn it up, for instance. All of that's available in iTunes at the bottom there, the subscribe button. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
I'm in love with a cephalopod. I'm in love with a cephalopod.
I'm in love with a cephalopod. Where the heck did you find that? Kyle Benham, once again, our musical director. I'm going to make you famous, Kyle. Kyle, how's the skywriting business or the sky flying business going?
Could be better.
He says could be better. So if anybody needs an airplane, is it an airplane? No, it's a helicopter.
A helicopter,
yes. To fly over your event with a LED sign on the bottom saying, buy Robert's Little Liver Pills or whatever it is that you want to sell. Kyle's the guy. I probably shouldn't be doing advertising for Kyle's side business on the show, though. It's some obscure FCC regulation, so we'll leave it at that.
Thanks, Leo.
If we're not pissing off the FCC or annoying the FAA or something. Moving on. Timothy in Zachary, Louisiana. Hi, Timothy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Great to talk to you. Thank you for calling and listening.
Problem.
What can I do for you, sir?
I have a Samsung Captivate, and it's Android. I use an iPhone 3GS in my day-to-day phone, but just looking to see what all I can do with it. TouchWiz on this thing is terrible.
Yeah, I was just talking about TouchWiz on the new Samsung Galaxy S2, and I think they they really cleaned it up.
Yeah, well, they need to do something with
The
this.
Captivate's terrible. And so this is the issue, again, like our caller earlier, is the way you get around carrier and manufacturer customizations on Android phones is by hacking them. So the issue is that Android is an open source operating system, and anybody can use it. They don't have to ask permission. They don't have to talk to Google. There are no restrictions on what they can do with it. That's why Amazon, in its new Kindle Fire, it's an Android tablet. But did they mention Android or Google? No, they don't have to. Did they have to pay Google license fees? No. They don't have to. This is all open source. So there's good and bad to that. The bad is they can hack it around and make it any way they want. So HTC, Samsung, LG, Motorola, they all have their own sugar or vinegar, depending on your point of view, that they put on top of the standard Android UI. Now, Google does put out what they call Google Experience phones. The Nexus, for instance, the first one was made by HTC, the most recent one made by Samsung. Those are generic Google Experience phones. And so if you want just a plain old phone, then that's what you want to do. If you don't, you have two choices. Now, one is that rooting and changing the firmware that I talked about, but there's an easier way. This is what I'd recommend, Timothy, is look for an alternate launcher. There are some great launchers out there. I use Launcher Pro. There's ADW, which is what CyanogenMod uses. A lot of people like Go Launcher. Those are the three I'd look at. ADW, Go Launcher, I think it's Go Launcher EX, and Launcher Pro. What these do is they replace the entire user interface. The dock has changed. The icons are changed. The widgets, there are new widgets added. And if you don't like TouchWiz, you don't have to hack the Captivate. Well, yeah, you're just hacking it a little bit. You change the UI by putting a new launcher on top of it. So what will happen is if you go to the marketplace, this is in the standard Android marketplace, you download Launcher Pro. That's the one I'd suggest. It's free. There's a paid add-on that gives you more features. But try the free one first. Once you download it, as soon as you exit out of the marketplace, you'll get a pop-up that'll surprise you. You've never seen before. Which program do you want to use? And it'll give you the choice between Launcher, I think they call it Launcher TW, which is the Samsung TouchWiz launcher, or Launcher Pro. There's even a checkbox you can check that says, always do this. I wouldn't the first time I just launched Launcher Pro. Mess around with it, see if you like it. The next time, then I would suggest, if you like it, checking that box, and you'll never see TouchWiz again. It's a really good way to do that. The negative on these is that they may be buggy. They may be slow. On a Captivate, you may say Launcher Pro is not fast enough. I like Launcher Pro, but it does seem to slow things down. I have to say on the Galaxy S2, this thing is so fast that, and it has so much RAM that alternate launchers don't seem to slow it down at all. Some people in the chat room are saying, oh, I like Go Launcher EX. There's some other choices. Zeam, I've never heard of that. Raphael in Spain likes ZEAM. There's as many launchers out there as there are people with different tastes. So you really get your choice. And I think that's another nice feature of the Android phone. You can do anything you want. Carolyn, San Diego, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Carolyn.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. Welcome to the show.
Thanks. I just bought, because my son's going to school and he needs to do videotaping of his presentations at school so he can reproduce it at home. And I think that and I have an iPhone, and I just went, I don't really think that is going to help you because it only has, 32 megs of RAM on the iPhone.
Well, how long is a presentation?
Well, his classes, he's going to culinary school, and his classes are, 4 to 4.5 hours long.
He wants to tape the whole class?
No, he wants to, as he's going throughout the day, if they're starting on sauces for that day, videotape what the teacher does, and then they go reproduce. And then he goes, okay, now we're going on to...
What a great idea.
Julian cuts, and then they go home and they practice. And then they also
And will the teacher let him do this?
Oh, absolutely. They encourage it.
Oh, that's fair. I have to say I admire them because I think there are some people in the world say, oh, no, you may not tape my presentation because you could put it on the internet and no one would need to go to my cooking school.
Oh, well, it's the Art Institute, and they are for kids succeeding.
Bravo. Bravo. And, of course, that makes it much easier
absolutely.
For a kid to succeed. I think taping lectures, I've thought for a long time what they really should do, my friend Alex Lindsay suggested this, I couldn't agree with him more, is just, get the best professor to do the lecture once, tape it. This probably doesn't apply to cooking because it's such a hands-on thing, but in any other college course, tape that best one lecture. You never have to do it again. And then spend all the money on great discussion groups. Send hands-on stuff because that's what you really need. Anyway, the iPhone would be a good start. I'll tell you, the problem with the iPhone is it's hard to hold.
Yes.
And hold steady. You can buy tripods and mounts. Owly makes a thing called the Bubo, which is is designed to make it a little steadier, and you can put it on a tripod. So you could buy an Owly Bubo and a Gorilla pod and put it on a tripod and aim it at the Julienne process. And the iPhone has enough memory probably to record all of that and many, many hours of it.
But they're going to be taking pictures along the way. So as they finish the project that day, if they're making some kind of, soup or something, they take a picture and they have to keep it for their portfolio. So not only would they...
Oh, so he wants a good camera too.
So I bought, and this could be the wrong choice, is I said, okay, let's just get you, because it's got the memory card, the SD card that you can put in the Bionic. Let's get you a Bionic instead of the iPhone.
Okay. I mean, that's a big change and fairly expensive. Does he like the Bionic? It's great. That's the Verizon Droid Bionic, which is the latest, greatest Android phone on Verizon.
But is it compatible with his MacBook Pro?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay, because I went on the internet and everybody said no, 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 no.
Well, I don't know why they would say no, 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 no. You plug it into the MacBook Pro, it mounts as a USB drive, and you can pull the video off. I would probably recommend, instead of a phone to do this, getting a inexpensive point-and-shoot camera. Almost all of them do really good high-def video now. They're a little easier to hold. You'll get better stills as a result.
Yeah.
The Bionic's fine, but you might want to look at something like the Canon PowerShot S95, for instance.
Yeah, he's got a little point and shoot.
Well, there you go. That'll do great video. Same thing. It's got an SD card. He can get great stills out of it, and of course, you want really good stills. The Bionic's fine, but it's kind of more than just a camera. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. 88 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. That's 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. Of course, you can go to the website, find that number, and all the information about our show, everything I mention, links to our chat room. Wonderful chat room. Wonderful chat room. 841 strong right now. Who else? Our live video, audio podcast downloads, and all. The website is techguylabs.com. Jason on the line from Cooper, Texas. Hi, Jason. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
Very well. How are you?
All right.
What can I do for you, sir?
I had a question on I helping a family member with their computer, and it's running Windows XP Home. It's a 6-year-old Dell, and there's a script error coming up.
Yeah, this was, first of all, she needs to get a later version of Internet Explorer. She's seeing that message, she's using IE6, which is dangerously old. So the first thing you got to do, very important, Jason, you want to help this family member, run those updates. Get those Windows updates, get every single critical update, and then update IE to IE8. That will probably get rid of those scripting errors. If not, you can go into Preferences, and change the preferences so that it doesn't alert you when there's a JavaScript error. It's a stupid thing that Microsoft did. They only did it with an older version of IE. They've turned it off. But for reasons I'll never understand, they, by default, turned on debugging in JavaScript. What is debugging? Well, when you're a programmer and you're running a program and there's an error, debugging lets you see that error and lets you fix it. But the problem is you don't need or want to know about errors on pages because you didn't write them. And what are you going to do if you get a JavaScript error on a web page? You're going to fix it? No. You're going to send a note to the developer, hey, by the way, I got a line 37 has a JavaScript error in it. No. Even if you were so inclined, I would strongly discourage you from doing that. You don't want to see the errors. So there is a checkbox. You can turn it off. Why it was ever turned on by default, I'll never know. But the fact that it is really worries me because that means she's still using a very old version of IE. So you really want to update that Windows XP. Make sure you got Service Pack 3 on it. Go to IE 8. So you got a modern browser. And frankly, I'm not a big fan of IE. There's all sorts of other issues with it. I prefer Chrome, which is Google's browser, or maybe Firefox. To me, Chrome is the browser everybody should be using at this point. That's also free. It's from google.com/Chrome. Oh, yeah, Dr. Mom reminds me that one of the things you absolutely must update is Java itself. She may not have Java on there, but if she does, you should make sure that you get the latest version of Java. There's some security flaws with that as well. Mark, Los Angeles, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hello, Leo.
Hey, Mark.
Hi, Leo. How are you? I'm a long-time fan, long-time listener.
Great.
I have a question regarding cell phones. I'm with Sprint, and I have a family plan. A few members of my family have the same phone, a very powerful phone. I've heard you mention the HTC Evo 3D.
Yeah.
Well, needless to say, this is a very powerful little computer.
It is.
And that is the reason for my call this morning. Using this phone, you can go to any website.
And it's a big screen, so it's really, you can actually use it to surf pretty well.
Yes. You could even navigate to inappropriate sites.
Uh-oh.
And that is the reason for my concern since I got this phone for some family members. I'd like to know if there's such a thing as an open DNS type of system.
What an interesting idea.
Use on the phone to filter inappropriate sites.
Wow. You cannot change the DNS to my knowledge on a smartphone. I'm trying to think. I don't think there's anywhere you could do that. You could change it when they're using Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
That's easy because you change it at the router.
Yeah.
But changing it when they're using the Sprint network, I don't know. And I wonder if Sprint offers some sort of family protection or something like that.
They do offer some type of filtering system for precisely this same reason to prevent people from going into...
yeah. But, of course, they charge you for it, don't they?
No, it's actually free.
Oh.
But that does not work on smartphones.
Sprint offers it, but it doesn't work on their phones?
I guess it works on feature phones, but not on smartphones.
Well, that's funny.
And they state that on the website. Now, Verizon said that they do offer that system. Unfortunately, I already signed up for a 2-year contract with Sprint. But for all your listeners who might be interested in filtering their phones, they can do it through Verizon.
Interesting. Let me, and maybe somebody in the chat room has some suggestions. There's two things that would be great. If I could change my DNS servers on the Sprint network, I suspect I can't, just the way the network works. And secondly, if you can't do that, is there a way to put some filtering software on the phone? This is funny because my kids' high school blocks Twitter and Facebook and YouTube. I don't like the idea. I tell them, you shouldn't be doing this. You should be teaching the kids how to deal with it instead of saying, well, you can't use it at all. You should teach them how to live life, because when they get out of high school, guess what? They're going to have to deal with it. So you might as well teach them now. However, they've decided to block it. And then I point out, but by the way, you know that each and every kid in this high school has a smartphone and can go to any site they want to on their phone. You cannot block it. So to me, I guess I'd give the same message to parents that I give to the high school. Look, you could try to block this stuff, but there's always a friend's house. There's always a smartphone. If you have really little kids, I think it's probably a good idea to use something like OpenDNS, which is free, opendns.com, and that keeps the really disgusting stuff off of the computer, because little kids can accidentally get there, and I think that that's appropriate. But if you've got teenagers, it's time, and I mean starting at probably even 12 and 13 years old, it's time to start talking to them about how to use the Internet. They're going to have to learn how to use the Internet. They're going to have access to it whether you like it or not. Better to have the conversation. Maybe if you want, you can get there are contracts you can get that will, just as a company might have a appropriate use contract for the Internet at the company, you can do that with your kids. I don't think that's a bad idea. And different parents have different degrees of monitoring they'd like to institute. Perhaps some of you will say, I want to have your passwords. You can use Facebook, but you got to give me the password. I don't go that far, because I think when you're a teenager, it's so important that you have some privacy. You have somewhere to be yourself. But I know how tough it is. I have teenagers parenting. I just think it's important to have the conversation and not use automated systems. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Well, a good day to you. Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Hour number 2 of the Tech Guy Show. If you want to participate, there are several ways you can do so. You can call us at 8888 Ask Leo. You can visit our chat room. That's a lot of fun. You'll find a link on our website, techguylabs.com. Just, join in the fun. 8888 Ask Leo. Somebody in the chat room, Tech Kung Fu, is asking, Leo, have you dumped Mint yet? Yeah, I dumped Mint. I'm so disappointed. Mint was a really good idea. It was purchased by Intuit. If you go to mint.com, you can see how cool it is. The idea with Mint was that you would wire in all of your accounts. Now, the first time I saw Mint, I said, this is neat. You wire in all your financial accounts, your checkbook, your credit cards. Oh, this is really cool. I really liked this idea. And I started, and I said, whoa, wait a cotton-picking minute here. What am I thinking? I'm just giving these guys access to everything. So I stopped. But then my friend Gina Trapani, the founder of Lifehacker, wrote a blog post in which she said she had the same problem. And then she looked into it and realized that Mint uses something called Yodlee, which is the same. That's who holds your credentials, who gives Mint the information. And Yodlee is exactly the same third-party service that banks use for their website. So in effect, Yodlee already had all my credit card and banking information. And they are, in fact, trustworthy. So that's when I said, all right, I'll sign up for Mint. And it's really cool because Mint does things like it'll tell you your net worth. It'll give you alerts. It'll send me cell phone alerts when a big transaction goes through. So it's a great way to keep track of your accounts, your checkbook. And I just love it. They have Android and iPhone apps. I used it for a long time. It in effect, replaced Quicken for me. Because I no longer entered in any data. I just had Mint keep an eye on things and set up alerts to let me know when significant financial events happened. However, Intuit then bought Mint, the Quicken folks. And I had a bad feeling about that. I thought, oh, no. And I don't know if it's related to this or whatever, but things have changed. They now store the information, the financial information directly. And they stopped working with my bank. Now, I don't know if it's that the bank changed things or Intuit changed things, but it just basically broke. And my suspicion is that what happened is that the banks didn't like Mint doing all this stuff and changed their logins so they wouldn't work with Mint. I haven't been there in a while since, and it's kind of sad. Was a great idea. But this is kind of what's going on in general in the online world is instead of cooperating and making life better for us, all these different interests are trying to protect their turf. So they prevent interoperation. They prevent the ability for one service to use another service. They block like crazy. Or, if they're really smart, they do what Facebook does. And they say, we'll work with everybody, but only on our terms. And so what happens with Facebook is everything draws you back into the Facebook space. I wouldn't be surprised to see Facebook create a service like this. So then I wouldn't have to leave Facebook to do my finances either. It's worked really well for Facebook. People don't leave Facebook. They spend hours a day on Facebook. But I think of things like Netflix, which was a great service. The problem is the movie industry decided that, well, they're getting too much power. And they changed their deal with Facebook. They said, well, we'll only give you 5 DVDs of that movie. Or we won't give you a DVD of that movie until 28 days after we've sold it in the stores. Things like that. Made it harder and harder for Netflix to succeed as a movie rental service. And you see what's happened. That Netflix first raised rates, then finally decided to spin the DVD business off entirely. It's a shame. It'd be nice. Things would work so well if people were looking out for us instead of their own interests, but I guess we can't be surprised that that's happening. In fact, if anything, the fact that at one point was even at all kind of, they were working together at all, really only reflects the fact that there was no money in it at the time, and so it was it was an experiment, and an experiment which has since failed, I guess. 8888 Ask Leo, welcome back to the cutthroat world of capitalism. Carl in Diamond Bar, California, you're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Carl.
Hi, Leo. How are you today?
I'm great. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Well, I've got a question for you. I've got a problem. I've got a Mac Mini, which is great. Love it. And I used to use Mac the Ripper.
Yes.
When I upgraded, or I should say downloaded the new operating system from Apple, all of a sudden I can't use Mac the Ripper. I get a error message saying you can't open the application Mac the Ripper because Power PC applications are no longer supported.
Oh, and they never updated it, huh?
No, and there's a website you can go to, but I've been trying for the last month. The moderator has to allow you to get in to find a new version, and they never answer anybody back.
How frustrating is that? So this is what's happened, and it's happened to a lot of older applications. These applications were never updated to work with Intel. Remember, Apple went to Intel. How many years ago was that? Adam Christensen's here from MacCast, many years ago. And actually, Gene McDonald's also here from Smile Software. You probably have to, you're aware of this as well. I mean, so all the Smile stuff is up to date and works with Intel. But, boy, if you're a developer and you're giving away something like Mac the Ripper, which is a great program, and you don't keep it up to date because you're not making any money on it, well, times change. What Apple did with Lion is they decided not to include the software that allowed you to run PowerPC programs anymore. They basically took it out.
Okay.
Is that called Rosetta? Is that Rosetta? Yeah. You can still download Rosetta, I think, can't you? Or there's ways to hack around it. But this was also a problem, by the way, for Quicken, the Intuit program, which doesn't run anymore. And what the Intuit folks decided to do is instead of updating their software to run on Intel processors, they're starting to build pieces of Rosetta into Quicken. Talk about backwards. It's just times have changed. Now, let's talk about what you can do instead. There are programs like Mac the Ripper that are updated to work with Lion. In fact, you'll get better results because they'll be Intel-based, they'll run faster, and so forth. What would you use Mac the Ripper for? Did you want the entire DVD menus and all on your hard drive?
Not really. All I'm really doing is that I use a lot of my old DVDs, and instead of taking them with me on a trip to watch them on the computer, I just make a quick copy and watch it while I'm gone.
Good. I got a better program for you. I got a much better program for you than Mac the Ripper.
Okay.
It's called Handbrake. Go to handbrake.fr. That's the French website where Handbrake is. This is Windows and Mac. And what Handbrake does is exactly what you want. It doesn't save the menus, the extras, or anything. It just saves the movie. Recompresses it so it usually is less than a gigabyte per movie.
Okay.
And you'll have it. It's what people use if they want a movie on your hard drive. There's only one thing I got to tell you. Handbrake got scared by the Motion Picture Association of America. They used to be, because you know, DVDs now are copy protected.
Yes.
They always have been. Of course, the copy protection was broken by a high school student about 6 months in. So every program in the world can rip it, but the Motion Picture Association has been going after companies that allow you to make copies of DVDs. So the French schoolboys who wrote Handbrake said, we're not going to deal with this. We're going to take that capability out, and then wink, wink, nudge, nudge. If you run a program called VLC, which everybody should have anyway, from videoland.org, then it'll encrypt it. So, ironically, Videoland, I bet you it's the same French schoolboys. Videoland is also a French company. Wouldn't be surprised if it's the same guys. You need it anyway. It's a great video player. So you get videoland.org, you get VLC, you get Handbrake, handbrake.fr, and you're golden. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Little Jack the Ripper music. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. You know, I should really use this brain trust we've got in here because we have some brilliant Macintosh people in here. Yesterday was a expo, the Mac Expo, in our area in Petaluma, California. The North Coast Macintosh Users Group draws an amazing panel of people in for an all-day event. It's the first Saturday in October every year, so you missed it this year. Come next year. It's really fantastic. And in the studio with me from Smile Software, we've got Gene McDonald. We've got Adam Christensen from MacCast, which is the great, fantastic Macintosh podcast. Oliver Breidenbach is here from Boinks Software. Did I say your name right, Oliver? From Boinks Software and others. I don't know if I can say your name, Steve. I can? Steve Buchan, who works for Oracle Corp, is also here. Anybody else? Am I missing somebody? Oh, of course, from Mac Observer, we got Jeff in here, too. Wow. Any Mac questions? These are like the best minds in the Mac world here. So we kind of had a little roundtable discussion during the commercial, an informal roundtable discussion about what's going on with Rosetta and Lion. Apple decided, and, you know, I understand that at some point you have to cut the cord from old hardware. But Apple decided to stop supporting its old PowerPC-based hardware and require that you be running an Intel processor, not only if you wanted to run the operating system, but even if you wanted to run any applications on the operating system once you went to Lion. If you go to Lion, there's no more compatibility with PowerPC-based applications. There was for years. And you can contrast that to Microsoft, which kind of endeavors, perhaps foolishly, to make sure that any program ever written for Windows, and in fact many that were written for DOS, continue to run on Windows every year. And I don't know if that's a difference between a hardware company. I suspect it is, between a hardware company and a software company. But the discussion we had, which I think is an interesting one, is there a technical reason that Apple doesn't include Rosetta, or is it purely a marketing ploy? And Oliver's of the opinion, I think you're probably right, that there's some technical difficulties associated with a 32-bit Rosetta framework on a 64-bit operating system. Maybe there are really reasons that Apple doesn't want to spend a penny more on keeping Rosetta up to date. And that would make a lot of sense. You know, there's certainly a marketing benefit to Apple. They want to get people to buy new Macs. So if you're sitting there with the original 1998 iMac, you just pretty much have to get a new Mac to run the newest stuff. So I understand that. And maybe there is a good technical reason, but I have to say it's certainly to Apple's financial benefit as well. Actually, come to think of it, if you wanted to keep running Quicken or old versions of Mac the Ripper or old versions of Office or Photoshop, you'd better keep your old Mac. Make sure it keeps running. Come to think of it, it doesn't sell new Macs. What am I thinking? 8888 Ask Leo. Maybe that's really what's going on. Kenny in Buckeye, Arizona. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Kenny.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, thank you. I have a question as far as streaming from a Blu-ray player. And the issue I'm having is I have two separate Blu-ray DVD players that I try to stream Netflix, Vudu, what have you. And I have a Netgear WNR 2000.
Are you hooking up via hardware, by Ethernet cable, or are you doing it via Wi-Fi?
By Wi-Fi.
Okay, and are you getting buffering? Is that the issue?
Actually, I cannot access the internet. And the strange thing is, I had a Linksys router prior to this with the Samsung Blu-ray player. Never had an issue.
So when you set up this Blu-ray player, it sees the access point?
Yes, it sees it. Then it says, cannot access gateway. Tells me that my settings are correct. Says I cannot access gateway, contact ISP. Changed, I bought a separate DVD player recently, Panasonic, set it up, goes through settings, same exact thing. It's just so strange that the Linksys router I had connected to this prior to the ISP installing this Netgear router, never had an issue streaming at all.
It's possible that there was something on the Linksys that was set up, probably something insecure like universal plug and play that made it work. That's not being set up on your current router, your provider supplied router. I think it's settings, almost certainly.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Also, I called Netgear. They're absolutely no help.
You're not required to use that Netgear router. You can turn off the Wi-Fi router in the modem and just use your own. In fact, you can continue to use your Linksys if you choose. You plug it into the back of your modem router and use it for the Wi-Fi.
I see.
That's one solution. Now, Dr. Mom's saying something interesting, as usual, in our chat room. She's saying perhaps the ISP is blocking. Now, you were using the same internet service provider both times, right?
Yes, it's the same internet service provider, so...
Seems unlikely that would happen.
Exactly.
But although I wouldn't be surprised if someday, I think ISPs now are kind of been put on notice by the FCC's new net neutrality regulations that they better not do that kind of thing. I'm sure there's an incentive for them. Especially if the ISP is a cable company, they'd far prefer you to watch those movies on their expensive video on demand than on your inexpensive streaming solution. I think that probably there is a setting in there that you have to get right. I can't, unfortunately, I can't diagnose this by telepathy yet. I'm working on that. We're really studying as hard as we can to do that. But until then, my suggestion is you keep messing with your settings. For instance, that old router might have had universal plug and play turned on. That may be turned off by default, as it should be in the new router, and that could be blocking. So you may need to do some port forwarding, that kind of thing. Those streams may use non-standard ports that are blocked by your router. But just remember that maybe the easiest thing to do is disable the Wi-Fi in your ISP-provided modem, connect your old Wi-Fi router to the back of it, and use your old Wi-Fi router. The other way to do it is to let the cable modem do DHCP and have your Linksys be in bridge mode. That will then, that may actually break it again, but that's another easier way to configure it. But you're going to need some help from a Wi-Fi guru, I think, to get this working. Mary in Las Vegas, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo.
Hi, Mary.
I need to help my mom with her iPad. It was on her bucket list to use a computer, and so we thought an iPad would be the easiest computer for her to use. But she's an hour away, and I need to see if there's a way to remote in to see what she's seeing when she's saying, iTunes got this thing. She calls me and complains about things on her iPad. She doesn't know what.
You could do it the other way. You can use the iPad to remote access your computer, but there's no way to remote access your iPad from your computer, her iPad from your computer. You know, what she could do is set up Skype on her. Does she have she doesn't have a computer, does she? She just has the iPad.
Yeah.
I mean, this is nutty, but she could, if you had Skype or something, she could hold the iPad up to the camera and show you what she's seeing. Does she have an iPhone?
No, but maybe it's phone with a camera.
Yeah, I'm afraid I don't know of any remote access for the iPad. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Pardon me, I don't mean to bother you, but your iPhone is ringing, and I really don't think that you should leave the other person hanging just like that. You know, be a dear and answer your iPhone, please. Your iPhone is ringing. Please answer your iPhone. treat that person on the other end to your presence. You are such a good and rich person. And your iPhone is ringing.
I love this. Blame Kyle, or if you hate it, blame Kyle Benham, our musical director. And hey, he'll put the playlist out on his Google Plus account right after the show. He'll also put a Spotify link, so you can, if you're a Spotify member, you can listen. And we'll also put it in the show notes at techguylabs.com. So Jeff Gamet was also in studio with us from the Mac Observer, which is a great website if you're interested in Mac information. He's the managing editor there and hosts a really good little podcast called the Apple Context Machine that explains what's going on in Apple News and so forth. He had a suggestion and for our last caller, and so did the chat room, a number of people in the chat room. And I have to say, I think probably this is not a great suggestion. Remember, our caller's mom has an iPad. That's the only device she has. She doesn't have an iPhone. She doesn't have a computer. She just has an iPad, and she wants to be able to access the iPad and see what's going on when mom says, "This is weird. Something looks weird." The only way that I know of to do this is jailbreaking the iPad, which I'm not sure I'd recommend, and using a program called Vinci. There are lots of programs that let you use the iPad to remote access a computer. People are suggesting those like TeamViewer and LogMeIn, and of course Go to My PC, but our sponsor. But I don't know of any programs that go the other way. Dagmar saying, here's one kind of way to do it, which is to screenshot what she's seeing. You know, you do that by pressing the on-off switch and the home button at the same time. You could do a quick screenshot, and she could email you the screenshot, say this is what it looks like. That's probably the best way to do it. You wouldn't have it moving around, and you can't get in and fix it, but you could at least see what she's seeing. So that's a probably easier way to do it than jailbreaking. I wouldn't recommend jailbreaking an iPad with a novice user. That's just asking for trouble. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number to call. Maybe you've got a solution. You could call with a question, but you can also call with an answer. Always welcome. Sylvie's in San Diego. Hi, Sylvie. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
My first flat screen TV.
How do you like it? I bet you love it, huh?
Well, no, I haven't bought it yet. I went to one place and they said to get a plasma, and another place said to get LCD.
Well, there's no right answer on that one. So that's the clerk's opinion, and I'll tell you what the differences are, and then you can decide what you like. Plasmas tend to use a little more power. They're a little bit thicker and heavier, but they are faster. So if you watch action movies or sports, I think plasma is a better choice. They have darker blacks in general. The difference, the negative of a plasma is it's not as bright. So plasma is best in a room that you can darken. So if you're watching if you have a home theater area that you can darken the room, it's great. Now, if you're watching during the day and you don't want to draw the curtains and make your neighbors think you're nuts, then LCD is brighter. The newer LCDs, the LED backlit LCDs, do pretty deep dark blacks. They do a pretty good job. They have ways of getting around the issues with motion. So I think they're fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with the LCDs. But if you really say, I want the best picture I can buy, then I think you would go with a plasma.
Okay, what do you think of the Sharp 70-inch LCD?
Beautiful. Beautiful. 70. You're going from 0 to 70. That's fantastic, Sylvie. That's gigantic. That's huge. You've got the room for it. I think you'll love it.
The best place in our house would be above the fireplace. Is there any issue with the height? Because that's obvious.
It's not the best place for two reasons. One, you're looking up. And after a while, you don't want to look up at the TV. You're going to get a crick in your neck. But the other one is if you ever have a fire in that fireplace, it's terrible for the TV. It's too hot. Are you getting the Sharp Elite model?
No.
Because Sharp just acquired the technology for the best plasma screens out there. The Pioneer Kuros. And those Elites are hugely, they're $6,000 or $7,000 for a 60. But those are, if you're talking about LCD, those are, I would say, every bit as good as a plasma. But you really do want to have that 70 at eye level if you can. I understand in most houses, over the mantle is actually that big clear space is a great place for it. But boy, it's just tough to have to look up at a TV. You kind of want it at eye level. This is the negative of a 70-inch TV, a ginormous TV like that. The negative is it takes over the room. The positive is it's going to be better than going to a movie theater. You're going to love it. You'll never leave the house again.
What do you reckon? Can you recommend any swivel brackets?
Yeah, there are companies that make brackets. Now, this is a heavy TV. So you're going to have to, you probably should call an installer. The store you buy the TV at can recommend that. And the installer will come in and will do the best job, I think, of installing that bracket, making sure it's in a good position. And while they're at it, they'll also calibrate the TV to make sure the color is the most accurate and so forth. It probably will be worth, if you're going to buy a TV, a good TV like that, and that's going to be, any 70-inch is going to be a top-of-the-line TV, it'd be worth getting an installer to mount it and put it in. You don't want it falling off the wall.
That's for sure.
That would be awful.
As far on the plasma TVs, what brand would you recommend? I was looking at a Panasonic 65-inch.
That's the best. That's the best.
What do you think of Sony's?
I prefer Panasonics, but all of the companies now have a small limited plasma. Almost everybody's moving to LCD. In fact, I don't know if you'll be able to get a plasma in the next 3 or 4 years. I think that the LCDs are you watching action movies or football? Some. If you like sports, if you like action movies, then a plasma is a good choice. You have to darken the room. But I think that sharp 70 inch is very high quality. The Pioneer plasma is gorgeous. I have one smaller LCD in my house, and then plasma, 2 plasmas. On the other hand, in our studios, it's all LCD because we have lights on. Right?
Okay, well, thanks for your help.
You're welcome. So they're not wrong when they say, I like get this or get that. It's just a matter of opinion and use and how you use it. But I wouldn't be adverse to that 70-inch sharp. And by the way, make sure, Sylvie, you get a Blu-ray DVD player with it, because that's the only kind of input that will really take advantage of the full resolution of that TV. A Blu-ray player is going to give you amazing quality. It's the only 1080p source there is.
What do you recommend?
If you have some money to spend, a brand called Oppo, O-P-P-O. But the truth is, most Blu-ray players are pretty good, and even a $100 Blu-ray player is going to look fantastic.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Sylvie. Good luck. Boy, your first flat screen, and it's a 70-inch sharp. I actually think Nick in our chat room has the best idea. He says, tear out the fireplace, just put the TV there instead. Who needs a fireplace when you got a 70-inch TV? Very nice. Very nice. I'm jealous. Ryan, Fountain Valley, California. You're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, I've been having a problem with my computer. I just built it. The first one I built, and it's not showing any video.
Oh, man, I hate it when that happens.
Yeah, like it's an onboard video card, and it's not showing anything. Everything else is running. The CPU, the RAM's working. Everything.
Do you ever see video at all, or just never?
No, no signal on the screen.
Yeah. Well, a couple of things to check. I can't tell you exactly what's wrong. Certainly check the cable. Make sure it's plugged into the right port. You probably have 2 ports on the back. Go into your BIOS setup. Make sure you've turned on the onboard video. Those are the things I'd check. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We're the kids of America. Yeah. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888. Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Love to hear from you. Like Linda in Santa Clara, California, listening on the great KGO in San Francisco. Hi, Linda.
Hi, Leo. Thanks for your program. I love it. I'm not a real techie, but I am into Apple. I have an older laptop, a pretty new desktop, and an iPhone 4, but I've never gotten an iPad. And I'm wondering, I'm very intrigued with the Kindle Fire. and I'm wondering if they've sent any of you techies a freebie.
I'm sure they've sent some techies a freebie, but not me. I ordered it and I purchased it, and I'll have it when everybody else does. I bought the little Kindle, the new one they announced, and that's shipping. I'm a Kindle fan. In fact, I have an iPad and a Kindle. Now, the Fire is more in the iPad category. One of the reasons I have a Kindle is because it's got that e-ink screen that works great in bright sun, where the iPad does not. I think the Kindle is going to be a spectacular device, but no, I haven't held it in my hand yet.
So I've done a little reading on the internet about them. It seems to me that they're pretty much standalone. I don't have to sync with anything, right?
Exactly right. And that's the biggest difference between that and well, there's two big differences: screen size and the fact that it syncs over the air.
Okay.
But syncing is a little different on the Kindle than it is on the iPad. The iPad, when you sync, you may be copying gigabytes of music over. There's only 8 gigabytes of storage on the Kindle, and really the intent with the Kindle is that you listen to music, movies, video, TV, Audible books, all over the air rather than having it stored.
All through Amazon.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so if that's the intent and you're okay with that, then it should be
exactly
a device.
If you're let me put it this way: if you love Amazon, if you use Amazon Music, you rent movies from Amazon, you buy stuff on Amazon, you read Amazon books, this is going to be the ultimate Amazon device.
Okay, because my intent for it would be similar to what I would use an iPad for, and it sounds similar to what they want you to use it for, and that's simply, I know it's just Wi-Fi only, but at home here I could surf the internet, read magazines, books, etc. And of course, every time you want to read one of those or have it, you have to purchase it. Is that right?
Or subscribe. They have subscriptions as well. So magazines, you'll be able to get subscriptions. Newspapers, you'll be able to get subscriptions. That's right.
So can you just log on to, say, New York Times website and read it?
Well, that's a great question. In fact, they have a full browser in it.
Okay.
Now, we haven't seen this browser in action. It's called Silk, and it has some interesting features that are non-standard. Right. But my suspicion is it will fully support the full internet web standards. And if it does so, then you're absolutely right. You won't have to subscribe to the New York Times. You could go to the New York Times website.
So a browser is what it says it is. I can browse. And
It's not going to take all of the iPad's business. In fact, the iPad does a lot of stuff that the Kindle Fire won't do. Besides being a bigger screen, you can create content and it's video editing. It's got a camera. It's got Bluetooth.
That's why I haven't purchased one, because you do get what you pay for, and that's a lot of money, and I don't need all that stuff.
I don't blame you. And you've got a laptop. And the truth is, a lot of those things you do with a laptop, right? That's right. Mm-hmm. So I have an iPad, but I tend to use my MacBook Air a lot more because I want a keyboard. I want more functionality than the iPad gives me. For those of us who really just use the iPad to read books, read magazines, listen to music, watch TV shows, watch movies, the Kindle Fire might be a better choice. Remember, it's smaller screen.
Yes, it is smaller, but it's bigger than my iPhone, which is really a pain.
No, I think I had a 7-inch tablet, the Samsung Galaxy Tab, and I loved the form factor. Small enough to put in your purse, to carry around in a briefcase, jacket pocket, not your breast pocket or your back pocket, but your jacket pocket. And for that reason, I think it's it's a nice size. It's certainly good enough to watch a movie. It's a good personal device. I'm excited. I think the Kindle is going to be huge.
So let's say, I'm not honestly really terribly familiar with Amazon, although I've done business with them in the past. But, the downside to this whole thing is that you can't touch one until it comes.
Right.
So let's say that
Well, now, Amazon with the Kindle now did start putting them in Target and other retail environments.
Right. But I'm not expecting that they're going to break
they'll do that with the Fire as well.
Eventually, or right away?
Well, you're right. It won't be like the week of. And if you're in a real hurry and you want to get it, when the minute it's available, you'll have to mail order. Amazon's return policy is excellent. I don't think that you.
That's what I was going to ask you. So let's say that it's not all that I thought it would be. I guess I did a little reading online about that, and it seems, pretty upfront.
Let me tell you something. If you don't do a lot of business yet with Amazon and you buy the Fire, you will be doing a lot of business with Amazon.
And that's fine. I'm cool with that.
I am too. One of the things they give you for the $200 is a month of their Amazon Prime subscription that has streaming movies, but more importantly, free second-day air. That is addictive because you can pull out your Fire, press a button, and have that book or magazine, whatever product delivered, Jungle Gym, in 2 days.
Exactly. And of course, that promo on that is a way to get business because then
they're brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh, they're brilliant. That's good marketing. Because you're going to get hooked on it even with a month. If you make a few purchases, you'll quickly look at. And I speak to you as a unabashed Amazon addict.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, their return policy is great, Linda. If you don't like it, they will take it back, no questions asked immediately.
Sounds good. All right, so then I shouldn't be concerned about any kind of conflict with my Apple stuff. It'll just be its own little standalone device.
Exactly. And you can hook up your Kindle via USB to your Mac.
Well, they do provide a USB cable.
Yeah,
and
you can hook it up and you can copy stuff over.
Okay.
But you won't do that very often.
Probably not. I wouldn't expect to.
Linda, I have no hesitation in saying order it now. Send it back if you don't like it. The only thing I would point out is if you've not used e-ink, the reason I have an old school Kindle and I've had every Kindle ever made is because e-ink is great for just reading, especially if you're outside at the beach or whatever. It's much lighter than anything else out there. It'll be lighter than the fire. It's easy to read in bright light. In fact, you need bright light. It's like a book. You want to shine a light on it. It's a much more kind of reading a book experience than any tablet will be.
So that's on the little $79 one.
And that's $79. And by the way, the battery life on that, you should be able to go a couple of weeks, if not longer, without charging.
So can I still buy things from them, subscribe, and it doesn't
you could do everything, but you wouldn't be obviously watching movies or listening to music.
No. But does it have a browser capability?
It has very primitive browser capability.
Okay.
Don't consider it a browser.
And it's not a touch.
And they make a touch version. It's a little more expensive. The $79 version does not have audio or touch.
Okay. Well, I'm surprised you don't have the Fire yet. If you're such an Amazon guy.
Well, I ordered it. I have a funny policy. I don't like to take loan hardware because it ends up being that you have to have a relationship with the PR firm.
Oh, I see.
And they are coercive. They'll call you and say, "Well, have you reviewed it yet? What did you say? Why didn't you like it?" And I don't want to have that. So I also think that if I buy something, I have a much more true-to-life experience of that product.
Yeah, probably. So you're in line with the rest of us to get it on the 15th of...
I am. I will. You can call me the day after they come out.
Are you going to post anything about it? Or?
Oh, yeah. But usually, this is another thing is I find I'm a better talker than I am a writer. I end up talking more about stuff. I don't write very often.
Well, that's cool. That's the way it should be. So.
Well, that's who I am. I knock myself. I'm always saying, I should blog more. I should post more. But if I do a review, if I post a review of the Fire, it will be a one-word Twitter review or Google Plus review or one sentence, 140 characters or less.
Okay. Well, I sure appreciate your input. It was very helpful.
My pleasure. It's great to talk to you, Linda. Thank you. I think you'll like it. I mean, I'm excited by it. And I am an iPad user. I even do a show called iPad Today all about the iPad. We'll see. And for whatever reason, I'm not on Amazon's try it list or review list. A lot of times these companies do have journalists that they will send stuff to. And this is where I lose out, is not so much once the product's out. I buy it, and I think that's a more accurate experience. But I do lose out in the pre-review period. That 6-month period or 6-week period we're in right now, for instance, where nobody has the Fire except presumably some specially cosseted, beloved journalists, people like David Pogue of the New York Times and Walt Mossberg of the Wall Street Journal, Ed Baig of USA Today, the big names. And I try to explain to these companies from time to time that, I do this thing. It's a radio show. Perhaps you've heard it. 1 million people listen every week. That's more, frankly, than read Walt Mossberg. But they're very, I don't understand. I guess they're conservative. They understand print. They don't understand radio. They don't understand podcasts. But to be honest with it, I don't really mind. I don't like to deal with PR people. Maybe they know that. I'm kind of a curmudgeon that way. I don't want to talk to them. Go away. I just want to review it. Don't bug me. So in the long run, it works out fine for me. Boy, I don't know if I don't. You just answered my question, Kyle Benham. I do not have time for another call. I do thank you for being here. We'll take more calls next hour. I am Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Well, a good day to you, Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Talking computers, the internet, and cell phones, and camcorders, and MP3 players, and all that jazz. at 8888 Ask Leo. Yeah, I mentioned at the beginning of the show. I guess I'll mention it again. I guess there's some event coming up on Tuesday. Apple's up to something. I don't know. I went to, was it MacRumors.com? I think I went to MacRumors.com. Yeah. One day, 20 hours, and 53 minutes till Apple's event. We know what the event is. It's the iPhone. We don't know how many iPhones. We don't know what the iPhone's going to be, but that's coming up on Tuesday. So if you've been holding out, waiting for an iPhone for yourself, your wait is almost over. Probably, we don't know when the iPhone itself will be available, but I would guess the time between the announcement and the release has been getting shorter and shorter and shorter. So I would guess that certainly in October, probably in a week after this announcement, I guess by October 11th, maybe 18th, you'll be able to get the iPhone next. Looks pretty clear that the name of it's going to be the iPhone S. The 4S, and that's because Apple released a beta, pre-release version of its iTunes that has the name in it. Whoopsies. Somebody going to get in a little bit of trouble there. Item 7, com.apple.iPhone-4S Black. Oh, and item 8, com.apple.iPhone-4S-White. Both with CDMA, so the black and the white will be Verizon phones, but we know for a fact that there'll be an AT&T version, of course, and I think very likely a Sprint version as well. So at least one iPhone available on all three characters except T-Mobile. T-Mobile has already said we're not getting it this year. You will also see the release of iOS 5, the new operating system, not just for the new iPhones, but the old iPhones as well as iPads. That I expect to be available Tuesday. I'm sure that'll be out Tuesday. There is apparently a cheaper phone. There's the iPhone 4S, but there's also going to be a less expensive iPhone 4 made in Brazil. Not sure if it'll be available in the U.S. It'll have 8 gigabytes of storage, but otherwise identical to the iPhone 4. It'll be the $49 iPhone, the replacement for the 3GS. The iPhone 4S will have the same size screen, 3.5 inches, as the current iPhone. Same Retina display, but there'll be a better camera. There'll be a dual-core processor. There'll be a lot more memory, a gigabyte of RAM, twice as much memory. And this new assistant, which people are raving about. This is part of the iOS 5 release, but will only work on the new hardware. Not sure if it'll work on the iPad. It definitely won't work on older iPhones. This allows you to say things like, hey, iPhone, call my friend Chuck. Or, hey, iPhone, send a message to Chuck that I'm going to be late for work. Or, hey, iPhone, book us a dinner for 2 at the La Solage. Or things like that. In fact, the assistant will even talk back to you, say, did I hear you say you wanted an appointment for dinner? That's going to be cool. Not so very different from what Android can already do, but still pretty cool. This is based on the acquisition Apple made last year of a company called Siri that does a lot of these things. The question is there an iPhone 5? We know there's a cheap iPhone 4. We know there's an iPhone 4S. But what about an iPhone 5 with a different case or a bigger screen? Unclear. If I ask the magic 8-ball, it says future seems uncertain. We'll just have to wait and see. The other thing, of course, Apple will be introducing is iCloud, and this is cool. I believe Mobile Me, which was Apple's first attempt at this, was such a horrible product. In fact, very famously, Steve Jobs convened a meeting of the Mobile Me team when it came out and said, you should be ashamed of yourselves, and promptly fired the guy who ran the team. So I think there's some pressure to do a better job from the iCloud team. There will be all sorts of interesting services, including cloud storage of your documents, cloud sync of your computers, but we're not sure exactly until we see it. Some people are, because Apple has had this iOS out to developers for some time now. But I am Those who have it can't speak. And those who speak, like me, don't have it. Kathy in Napa, you're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Kathy.
Hi. Wow.
Wow. Are you excited? Tuesday.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm not very computer savvy at all, and I'm in my 60s, and I basically have learned everything on my own. So you were talking about the Internet Explorer earlier with someone.
That's Microsoft's browser, yeah.
Yeah, okay. What is the difference? Because you were saying you should have Chrome, that's better. What is the difference in Chrome and then this other one?
So a browser is just kind of your window to the World Wide Web. It's a piece of software that runs on your computer that when you request a website, will go out, get the website from the server out there in the cloud, in the internet, and then display it on your screen. The only difference between browsers is how well it displays it on your screen, how quickly, securely, and reliably it displays it on your screen. Internet Explorer 8 and 9, the most recent versions of Internet Explorer, are really good. I think Microsoft has finally kind of caught up with the rest of the world. I happen to prefer Chrome. That's the Google version of the browser because I feel it's faster and, more importantly, it's more secure. They do some smart things. For instance, you've probably heard of Flash. That's the thing that allows you to play video on your browser. It's a plug-in. The browser can't play the video or do the animations itself. It needs a plug-in to do it. And Flash, the plug-in, comes from Adobe and has been kind of notoriously buggy and, in fact, insecure. So what Google did is when you get Chrome, you don't have to install Flash. It comes with the browser, and they do something called sandboxing it. They keep the Flash and all of the things and the storage and everything that goes with it in its own isolated cell so that, in theory, it can't infect the rest of the computer. It's things like that that, to me, make Chrome a little bit better. But, you know, there isn't that much difference between all the browsers. And if you feel comfortable using IE8, if you like IE8, go ahead and keep using it. You can't get rid of it. Windows always has it. But the nice thing is all these browsers, Chrome, Firefox, Opera, IE, Safari on the Mac, they're all free. And it's okay to have multiple copies. So download Chrome, see if you like it.
Well, doesn't it slow down your computer if you have multiple ones, browsers?
No.
No, it doesn't.
No.
Okay. Okay, well, now how do you get Chrome? You go to Google and...
Just open IE, ironically. Go to google.com/Chrome. And Google will give you a nice big welcome. Hello, how are you? And and it'll offer to download it for your system. And it's smart. It knows which system you're using, so it'll give you the right version.
Okay, now, will your screen look different? Will it be set up differently?
It'll be a little bit of difference. The way it does bookmarks will be different. The way it does preferences will be different. But the page itself that you look at should be very close to the same.
Yeah, because I hate changes.
Yeah, everybody does.
Takes me a while to get used to.
Yeah, which is a good reason not to feel pressure. You know, geeks like Chrome. People like me like Chrome, but I wouldn't feel pressured to change from IE.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it's harmless. It does, you know, it doesn't slow your computer down. It will occupy a small amount of disk space. But most of the time, if you have a fairly recent computer, you have so much disk space that...
Well, I have the Dell Inspira, and it's about 4 years old.
You probably have gigabytes of free space. I wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah, it does have a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's trying to get me to Internet Explorer, whatever you call it. It's trying to get me to go up to 9.
Yeah, go ahead and go to 9. I know we're out of time here, but go ahead and go up to 9. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I know, I love it.
Chrome. She can see herself in the shiny grille and the white wheels of a red Chevelle. Before on the floor.
Hey, Sylvia gonna use some Chrome.
Zipping by on an electric glide with dual tailpipes doing 105 in the broad daylight on a 2-lane.
Now that's a song. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. You know, there are lots of choices in browsers, and I think geeks love to play with this stuff, but boy, there isn't a whole lot of actual difference. When you sit down and sit a normal person like our last caller in front of Explorer and Chrome, and they look at it, they're going to say, well, Yeah, and the only thing it'll do is drive them crazy because they'll go and say, well, where's the bookmarks? Oh, it's on a different menu. Where's how do I do the settings? Oh, you have to click that wrench over on the right. Then it'll just drive them crazy. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. But if you have a choice and you care and you want to try different browsers, I think Chrome's excellent. Some people might say, well, I'm not giving Google all that information. Well, I'm not sure that's something too much to worry about. Google's, first of all, under great scrutiny by the U.S. government and the European Union, constant scrutiny over privacy issues. I think they'd be foolish to do anything underhanded with Chrome. And do you use Facebook? Because they're doing all sorts of stuff. Facebook, with those like buttons all over the web, knows when you visit any website that's got a like button. And since everybody's got a like button these days, that's pretty much every website. And let's not forget your internet service provider who knows exactly what you're doing all the time and is required by the federal government to maintain that information at 18 months. So I guess what I'm saying here is, you think you're private on the internet? Think again. David in Los Angeles, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, David.
Hi, Leo. Good to talk to you. Just got to say you've got such a friendly voice and a helpful attitude. I'm not even nervous calling you.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you. Yeah, it's just us friends, just us geeks, David.
Right, just friends. And how'd you know I was a geek?
Well, most of the people calling this show are geeks. In fact, so much so that when 2 or 3 people who aren't geeks call, they always are apologetic. I'm sorry, but I don't know anything about what you're talking about.
Right. So hopefully you know what I'm talking about when I say I need a solution to replace my DVR. I had something called Sesame, if you ever heard of that, which is a DVR that used a broadcast antenna, digital tuner.
Right.
And an internet connection to get the guide.
Right.
And they just decided that they're going out of the public business, and so it's going to become a...
So you're looking for a DVR that works with broadcast?
It either works with broadcast, or I'm looking for a cheap solution because being cheap, we have basic cable. So for $11 a month, we have analog cable, and so I'm not looking for going to the cable company.
So you don't want to enhance your cable. You already got the cheapest one. You're just going to stick with that. Most of your television watching is over the air, though. It's over through an antenna.
Just to make it complicated.
Oh, it's complicated already, my friend. What else now?
The DVR was always over the air, but in the meantime, it was easier to use the remote for the TV, so most of our impromptu watching was, real-time watching is on the TV using the cable signal. But so we can go either way. Either a DVR that either has a digital tuner or a DVR that has an analog tuner, which I suspect is not enough business for, so I doubt if I'll find that.
Right. Well, and all the analog stations are gone.
Right, except on our cheap cable.
Oh, I see, the analog cable. Right.
We didn't get a digital box because...
I got it. Yeah, well, who wants a box anyway? I don't blame you. It bugs me that you have to rent this box.
Right.
Right.
So it's a bigger chunk, and I don't want to pay more to be more addicted. And I did find on the internet, the only solution I found so far is there's a Channel Master DVR that also...
Yeah, Channel Master's the old DTV pal that Dish was selling.
Okay.
I don't have any experience with the Channel Master, but that's exactly, that's kind of exactly what you want.
Yeah. It's $300 on Amazon.
Well, I'm glad they're still selling it. They went the way of Sesame, basically. So I'm glad they're still selling it. See, the problem, what's happening here is all the cable companies and the satellite companies want you to use their DVR. And they really make it hard to use a third-party DVR, which is too bad because TiVo and others like it can often be much, 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 much better than the cable DVR. I mean, I wish I could use TiVo still. Number of people who really care about this, geeks like you, David, just do it on their computer with tuners that they attach to the computer and record on the computer. Channel Masters won. TiVo is still, I think, a good deal. I'm pretty sure you can still use TiVo with the antenna, can't you? Am I wrong? Chat room. Lurk is saying you can still get the Panasonic Showstopper. There's a name from the past. It's no longer made, but he says eBay. If you go on eBay, you can still get them. And that's another choice. Actually, Amazon has them. It's the Replay TV that Panasonic bought. I thought Replay was great. It looks like you still can get those from some sellers as well. So that might be a good choice. Look for the Panasonic PV HS2000. You can Google that. It's basically the Replay TV, the Showstopper. That's my best guess for you, David. Actually, before we get to you, Jonathan, in Melbourne, Florida, he wants to know what's the best software for text-to-speech. It sounds the most like a human. I got some demos I can play for you that I love. We'll do that in a second. But first, I hear the magic sound, Jonathan, which tells me that I have to take a break. But don't worry, local news is next. But then I will talk to you about the best text-to-speech. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Good night, John Boy. Good night, Mama.
Good night, John Boy.
Good night, Dada. Is it the theme from the Waltons? I'm just guessing.
It's actually
All My Children. That one's for you, Mike. We have a visitor in studio. I love the visitors we get in studio. I won't say his name. I don't know if you're anonymous or not, but he's a director for CBS and does a soap opera. So that's cool. We've been showing him the studio, the guts of the studio. Can I say your name, Mike? Or are you? I don't want to get you in trouble. Mike Stitch is here. And what show do you direct? The Bold and the Beautiful. A continuing saga. You know, aren't soaps in a little bit of trouble? There are very few of them left, I think. Yeah. It's reality's killing TV. Mike says that the big market is overseas, the international market. Yeah, they love those telenovelas in Mexico and so forth. Yeah, in South America. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Our phone number, 8888 Ask Leo. The website, techguylabs.com. If you want to check out what we've been talking about, we put links up there. James does. Thank you, James DeRuvo. Puts links up there. And Phil says, Mike Stitch, thanks for your service. Yes, he gives his all for our country. Jonathan in Melbourne, Florida. Jonathan, you're next. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy.
How's it going, Leo?
It's going great. How are you?
Doing pretty well. First of all, I'd like to thank you. A couple months ago, you recommended the Lenovo X220 with the solid-state drive for me.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, this thing is lightning fast. The screen is beautiful, and the keyboard is amazing. So thank you for that.
Oh, I'm so actually glad to get a review. It looked like it was just an awesome system, and a good friend of mine bought it and loves all those Lenovos. But I'm glad that you like it. That's great, Jonathan.
Absolutely. So I'm turning to you for help again. As a full-time college student, most of my life is reading e-textbooks or PDF files, and I'm a very auditory learner, so I'm looking for software that will provide the most realistic human-sounding voice and read that text to me.
Isn't that good? Yeah, and of course, that's what the Kindle will do for you. If the publisher allows it, the Kindle will actually read you the book using a synthesized voice, but it's not a very good voice, is it?
I don't know, and I've tried a few that sound like, a robot reading to me, and that's just not going to get the job done.
Yeah. And then the good news is you can download text-to-speech voices. That's what it's called, by the way, text-to-speech. And there are a number of very good text-to-speech choices out there. You're going to do it on Windows?
Yes, sir. Windows 7, Home Premium, if that matters.
Yeah. The ones I was going to play, and the site seems to be down, which is too bad, is the AT&T Natural Voice is amazing. It's I believe what Apple has used in the latest versions of OS X. And it's a very realistic voice. You can get a British accent, which I actually kind of like. And I do think that there are companies on Windows that do use the AT&T Natural Voice synthesizers on them. Let me see if I can find out. because they're just really, Text Aloud is one of the companies that does this. TEXTALOUD, Text Aloud. So it's expensive. It's $60, but you.
Yeah, I don't mind paying 60 or even quite a bit more, as long as it does what I really need it to do.
Yeah, well, and you can go listen to the AT&T natural voices and hear what they sound like. Let me see if I can. There's a free trial, too, by the way, of Text Aloud. Text Aloud 3. If you go to nextup.com, you can try it. They actually use a bunch of different voices. Holy cow. It's not just the AT&T natural voice. Basically, the idea of Text Aloud is to allow you to install voices that you like, so you can see which voices you want. Here's Mike.
With the professional 16 kilohertz version of natural voices sounds great.
That sounds pretty amazing. That sounds like a real person, doesn't it?
That's pretty good.
Would you like? I like the British sound myself.
Hello, this is Audrey, one of the exciting new additional AT&T natural voices that you can purchase once you own the Natural Voices speech engine with the U.S. English voices.
Doesn't that sound good?
Yeah, where can I get the Leo Laporte voice?
They haven't yet paid me enough. Here's the chat room says, try Crystal.
With both male and female voices, the professional 16 kilohertz version of natural voices using Text Aloud MP3 creates the most realistic.
One of the reasons a female voice might be better, you know, in the heads-up devices for fighter pilots, when the plane is, for instance, in a too steep a dive or is going into a stall, they'll play a female voice because they found that the fighter pilots are much more likely to obey the female voice. Yeah. Now here's another. This is another choice. This is a cappella.
Hi, my name is Heather, a U.S. English voice by nextup.com and a cappella group.
That's pretty good, isn't it? This is another one called Real Speak.
Hello. My name is Daniel. I'm a new British English voice available from nextup.com and Scansoft. I'm SAPI 5 compatible.
Isn't that nice? I'd like to be able to say I was SAPI Spy, whatever that is.
That sounds great. And you said the other one was Critical?
No, the software is Text Aloud. Oh, there's 4 different companies that you can get voices from for this Text Aloud software. There's the AT&T Natural Voices. There's A Cappella Group, Real Speak, and then this is one other called Siebstrel. I'll play, let's see. How about Katrin? She's German.
Hallo, ich bin Krebstrolls Katrin Stimme. Ich spreche alle Deutsch.
So if you want a foreign language, and I think, you know, you could tell they're synthesized, right? But they sound pretty good. And they certainly, I think you'd get used to it.
Yeah, I would have to.
Yeah.
would definitely distract me.
Yeah. Some of them are kind of sexy. So, okay, I'm weird. This is available for Mac and Windows, nextup.com, and they do have a free trial, which I would recommend before you spend the money. But $60, that's not bad.
All right, well, thanks a lot, Leo, and I love the new studio.
All right, thanks for calling. I appreciate it. All right. Yeah, we're pretty proud of our new digs. So you're an Emmy Award winner, Mike. I didn't know that. Our chat room has been researching you. Yes, they've been researching you. See, I say somebody's name, they start researching. Now, it's not unusual, by the way, for these voice synthesis programs to have some basic set of voices, and then if you want more, to buy them. So I'm not sure if the $60, how many voices the $60 includes, but do the trial. I think this is pretty amazing where they've gone, frankly, with digital voices. Tom is in Los Angeles, our next caller. Hi, Tom. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
I'm great.
Hey, Leo. I currently work in the post-production field here in Los Angeles. And as you're probably aware, you know, technology changes so quickly in that industry. And what I'm looking to do is create like an internal web page for the company employees to access. It's sort of like an information page, kind of like a newsletter. So
yeah, it's basically an intranet is what they used to call these. They're corporate websites. They're not accessible to the outside world, but they're great ways to keep up on what's going on. And I think for an intranet, one of the best ways to do you want to have everybody be able to modify it? You want to make it kind of communal?
Well, I don't want everybody to be able to, like, change the content. I want a few people to have like sort of Wikipedia-like.
That's the word I was looking for, is a wiki.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's a very good company that I think does excellent wiki-like capability, but you would be able to say to the people, you can do this, you can do this, you can't change anything. You'd have what we call permissions or access control. This is called PBWorks. It is used, in fact, by a lot of businesses as internal website. You can make it private so nobody can see it. Because it's a wiki, you don't have to be a web developer or an expert in, CSS to modify pages or add content. So I think that's a good choice for an internal website. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Won't you take me back to school? I need to learn the golden rule. Won't you lay it on the line? I need to hear it just one more time.
I sure like being inside this fancy computer.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Karen.
Hello, my name is Karen. I am an Australian English voice.
Oh, sorry, Karen. I mispronounced your name.
Hello, my name is Sangeeta. I am an Indian English voice.
Hello, Sangeeta. So these are all voices that actually are in the Macintosh and OS X Lion. You have to download them.
Hello, my name is Moira. I am an Irish English voice.
But how fun is that, yeah? Here's Fiona. She's supposed to be Scottish.
Hello, my name is Fiona. I am a Scottish English voice.
So this one we heard before, I think this was AT&T.
Hello, my name is Daniel. I am a British English voice.
And of course they have different languages too. So interesting. Steve says he gets the feeling that this is the beginning of something for Apple, that perhaps, and of course, we haven't seen a big change in user interface on computers in a long time. I mean, the tablet touch interface is the biggest change in probably a decade. I always thought speech would be an interesting area to expand. Remember, of course, 2001, the HAL 9000. You'd talk to him, he'd talk to you. I wonder if Apple's going in that direction. Certainly some good-sounding synthesis now. You could tell it's a computer, but it doesn't have that machine-like sound that so many computer voices did for so long. David in Van Nuys, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, David.
Hello, Leo. Sure, it's good to talk to you.
Great to talk to you.
I wanted just to make sure I wasn't going to screw up my wife's files before I did this.
Good thinking. Very bad to sleep on couch. Trust me, I know.
I'm going to be retiring her XP and letting her take over my Vista. And I just wanted to make sure that when I migrate all of her obvious content files, the ones that show up under my documents and all the pictures and stuff, that there wouldn't be anything hiding in another directory that I might.
Yeah, what I would suggest, it sounds like you're going to, when you decommission the XP, you're going to delete everything?
Yeah, basically I'm going to run that bomb that you talk about.
I'd keep it around for a little while. Don't be too quick to run the bomb. You're talking about D-Ban, the Derek's Booten nuke, which deletes the data for good forever. Are you giving the computer away? Is that why you wanted to do that?
No, just that at some point all this stuff accumulates and you can
Yeah. No, I don't blame you, but I would be a little slow to delete it in case you don't get everything. In general, there's a folder in Windows called Documents and Settings.
Mm-hmm.
And everything that is unique to a login is stored in that login's name under Documents and Settings.
Okay.
So if you get the folder, well, truth is, if you get the entire Documents and Settings, you'll also get a lot of other stuff, which you may want down the road. But if you get the folder that is her login name under Documents and Settings, unless a program is really acting irresponsibly, everything should be in that folder.
Okay.
A program shouldn't really access anything outside that folder to save data or anything like that.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure. But yeah keeping it around, that's good advice. That was worth the price of the phone call.
Yeah. You don't want to be in the doghouse too soon. Keep it around, and that's a good idea. And remember, Windows has that transfer wizard that'll make it that will do this for you.
Now, I saw that when I did that for one of my daughters when I got her a laptop and I was transferring her the data. But I thought, where do I find that transfer wizard?
No, you're in XP, right?
Well, the file, I'm going from XP to my Vista.
And you'll be going to Vista.
Yeah.
So you have a choice. You can either run it from Vista and hook up the old computer, or you can run it on XP and have it saved to a disk. It's in Accessories on XP.
Accessories? Okay.
Yeah, System Tools folder. And you'll see the File and Settings Transfer Wizard. But the Vista version of this did a better job. They call it what do they call it? They have a different name. Easy Transfer, I think, is what they call it. And I believe, try it and see if it says, okay, where's the old computer? Because you don't want to package up data for transfer to a new computer. You want to get data from the old computer. And if it will do that, which I think it will, then the Easy Transfer would be the way to go. Now, just a random geek in our chat room says, Google Windows Easy Transfer, there's a download for XP that's designed for Vista.
Oh, cool.
So that's probably what you want to do. That way you'll get everything you want, but it'll work with Vista's Restore. So that sounds like the way to do it. I would try that, but I would still back up her data, back up the folder and documents and settings just to have it.
Yeah, I'm going to back it up onto my external drive.
As cluttered as you feel like it is, you can't hurt to have extra stuff. You can always go back to it.
Okay, cool.
Thanks, David. Good luck. You're a good husband. We all, as family members, as the geeks in the house, we always have to do stuff like this. And it's I learned my lesson. You got to be careful. And I'm glad that he's paying attention. Let's see. James in Rancho Santa Margarita, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, James.
Hi, how you doing?
Very well.
I got a question for you. I'm working for a company right now, and their offices are spread all over California, Nevada, and I think in Texas. And what they want to do is they want to start, doing these conference, video, and to be able that these large offices can meet and watch it and respond to questions. And what could I use for something like that?
You mean telepresence, basically. This is video conferencing software. Now, you can spend $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 for a Cisco telepresence system. I take it that's not your budget.
No. What they're doing is they want to try for one that's going to be, instead of sending people out to Southern California and Northern California, they want to do it in one place and have the Northern California people watch it and respond and get that kind of an attitude.
Do you want to do this a lot or just once in a while?
Pardon me?
Do you want to do this a lot or just once in a while?
Once in a while.
I think you should look at the Citrix products. These are much more affordable. And they're really good for occasional because, nowadays everybody's computer's got a camera on it. They're very good quality cameras. You don't need to go out and buy a dedicated camera and massive monitors and all that stuff. You can really get a lot done with GoToMeeting, or if you want something even bigger than GoToMeeting, GoToWebinar or GoToTraining. The three basically use the same backbone, and I should say these guys are sponsors, so take this with a grain of salt if you feel like you need to. I happen to think they're the best thing out there. The GoToWebinar is designed for large presentations to large groups, but you can do polls and Q&As and surveys and that kind of thing. If you're doing training specifically, GoToTraining is a better choice than that. And GoToMeetings for smaller meetings and smaller groups. But it has video. All three of them now have video built in.
Okay, yeah, what they want to do is they want to actually set a bunch of people in a conference room and watch it over the projector. Now, we do have quite a few cameras already, Panasonic P2s.
Yeah.
And,
so the Cisco telepresence is the reason it's so expensive. It's special monitors, special cameras, special software, special servers, and all of that adds up. Yeah, so I think unless you need something much more fancy, I'd say try GoToMeeting. I think you're going to see GoToMeeting will do up to 300 people.
Okay. Now, like I said, they just want to be able to broadcast one screen.
Yeah, I got to run because we're out of time. You can definitely do what you want to do. But time is short, and I must run. Have a great Geek Week. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy.